Best part about camera angles isn't trying to make yourself look more attractive. It's containing the chaos of your unorganized, messy as hell room just out of shot. When I say lore, what do you think about? How about story? Perhaps narrative? Okay, so those last two are basically the same thing, but narrative just sounds so much higher brow. In books, movies, and TV shows, the importance of lore, or world building, and story, plot, is obvious. If either of those are done badly, you'll probably return the book, change the channel, or hurry over to Rotten Tomatoes to voice your displeasure. Sometimes you might do that if you didn't even watch the movie. In a game, failures in those may not be as clear because you're adding in a third element that shares the same important space: gameplay. Now, that's not to say there aren't also supporting structures in other mediums as well. Of course there are. However, rarely do you see arguments of writing versus character development. What's the more important thing in a sitcom? I may be straining the arguments here just a little bit to get to this point. Story and lore are integral parts of your gaming experience, but the value of each is different depending on the game you're playing. When you think of some of the best written games in recent memory, what comes to mind? The Last of Us, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Life is Strange? All of these are single-player games with intense character-driven plots that lean heavily into the story, but also spend time building the world around the story as it unfolds. Many of these are very hero's journey type shows, where the world revolves around your character's story. The games do a good job of showing a world does exist beyond the square of your TV or computer screen. Some more than others, looking at you, God of War. But that is not what carries the game forward. Your actions are integral to what happens in the world. The gameplay of these games is sometimes even crafted around the story, like Life is Strange, Last of Us, or God of War. In these formats, the focus on story works extremely well. The game becomes an incredibly potent medium to tell a story. Do any of us think that the Last of Us TV show will have the same emotional impact the game did? I mean, damn. Just think about those last few sequences in the first game. The decisions that are taken out of your hand. You have to play out. That game still tears your heart out, and it's done in a very masterful way. Those games just worked. Story took center stage and it delivered. Oh boy, did it deliver. World building, lore, enhanced the story, but it did not overpower it. As you are portraying the main protagonist of the story, it was a natural way to tell the story. But what happens when you are not the main protagonist? In an MMO, the formula used to be flipped. The appeal of a game like EverQuest or Ultima Online was not a winding narrative, but a world. This put extra importance on lore because it had to do the heavy lifting, unlike story in the previously mentioned games. Origin, then creator of Ultima Online's tagline was, "We create worlds," with worlds in bold. The cinematic trailer for the game even ends with the nod towards servers. This Britannia is but one of many in the multiverse of Ultima Online. For years, EverQuest carried the slogan, "You're in our world now," very clearly putting forth the world as the focus, that you are but a small, insignificant part of this grand tapestry, a thread in the masterwork. Without you, it may be diminished, but it would still exist. That is the main difference between story and lore, especially when it comes to video games. From your perspective, how much impact do you have? I lovingly refer to this as the hero or pissant conundrum. Does the game serve better by making you the hero of the story, or making you insignificant in the grand scheme, but still relevant to your personal path through an exciting world? If I had been the hero of the story of EverQuest when I was a young kid, I might not have been as drawn into the lore of the world. I might not have spent hours poring over the history of dark elves or been so as enthralled by the dynamics of deities who at that time in the game's history were so far above the players of North as to be untouchable. It's a different kind of enjoyment that is equally valuable in the right context. To me, MMOs are the perfect context for this shift in world building as the pillar, with story as the bracing. So why is this important? How does it impact games specifically? In these two game types, single player RPGs and adventure games, and MMOs, different narrative and world building approaches yield different results. More recently though, there's been a blending of the two, and I believe it has helped one style of game and harmed the other. For single player games, more focus on lore means the world has the ability to grow. You can see this with games that advance their story beyond their main protagonist from the first iteration, because the world building is strong enough to do so. Dragon Age stands out as one of the games to me. The story engages and leaves you wanting more, and lo and behold, the world is there to offer more with subsequent sequels that follow different protagonists. Elder Scrolls has done this masterfully for decades, and is perhaps the gold standard. In these games, it has worked to both commercial and critical success. MMOs have also begun to blend the importance of story and lore. Star Wars: The Old Republic and Final Fantasy XIV have made names for themselves for their engaging and deep personal stories. SWTOR made a name for their class stories, which were then later, let's just be honest, it's called what it is, watered down into a single story. Final Fantasy XIV has received rave reviews for the emotional punch its single player story provides, especially in recent expansions. In both of these games, there is deep, rich lore as well. Pulling from Final Fantasy and Star Wars universes ensures that. You also have traditional old school MMO fare of rat killing quests, though the species of rat may vary greatly from a galaxy far, far away in Eorzea. Each of these games and others that have followed in a similar path have been successful to varying degrees, especially Final Fantasy XIV. But I would argue what these games have done is dress up a single player game in the trappings of an MMO, or the reverse, an MMO with a single player campaign. Can these exist in this way? It seems so, and perhaps I'm just putting on my cranky old man pants. But I feel like the elevation of story in the MMO weakens the experience we once had of being that one string in the grand tapestry. In a sense, we have become too unique and important to the world in some of these games to also feel like just part of the world with other player characters. Imagine you foiled the plot by an otherworldly demonic force and saved the world. You, the chosen one, the only one able to put an end to the reign of Demon McFiery Pants. Well, you and the 2.3 million other chosen ones who also completed the exact same quest. Your new title, Warg Tordenson, Interdimensional Fire Extinguisher, is one you wear with pride when you enter a new instance dungeon with other players, including the esteemed Tiki Poo, Interdimensional Fire Extinguisher, Sephiroth XX, Interdimensional Fire Extinguisher, Drizidid Dodudin, Interdimensional Fire Extinguisher. At least to me, that damages the integrity of the story in a way that a single player game, also played by millions, but confined to the singular space of your playthrough, does not. Still, I look forward to seeing what comes from these increasingly merging storytelling techniques in games. For now, I feel like I must give the one up to single player games, even as MMOs remain my first love, because they found a formula that works. One day, I hope to once again venture into a world created for me that exists without me. Thank you so much for coming by. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Should be down here somewhere. There should also probably be a video right around here. Please comment down below with what you think. Do you think that having single player stories in an MMO has enhanced the experience for you? Or are you like me and you believe that it kind of ruins that whole MMO feel? Am I just being an old cranky man? Let me know. Tell me in the comments below. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.